Bethesda Game Studios. Recently acquired by Microsoft, Bethesda Game Studios has been the talk of the town lately. From controversy over Doom Eternal soundtrack to the concerning silence regarding Starfield that was supposed to be released a week ago. The original release date for Starfield was 11/11, which is one of Bethesda's favorite release times. It's when they released Skyrim, 11/11/11 actually. It was an interesting time. I remember that day very well. I've actually recently gone back to playing Skyrim, and I really missed it. It's a very enjoyable game even today. A lot of people like saying how overrated it is these days, and I've heard more comments in recent times about how Skyrim wasn't that good, or how other games improved upon what Skyrim did later on, like The Witcher 3. I think that Skyrim is starting to lose the credit that it deserves. At the time, it was a really good game, and yes, it had some problems. Every Bethesda Game Studio game does. But they all have that magic something, that je ne sais quoi, that I just can't put my finger on what it is, but something about a Bethesda Game Studio just appeals to me. I think that's why, as a community, we've been so forgiving with their missteps. There are a lot of disagreements about how they handled Fallout 4 that kind of split the Fallout community. There are a lot of disagreements over how they handled Fallout 76, which didn't so much as split the community as isolated a few Bethesda apologists. Almost universally, Fallout 76 was hated, and then those of us that just can't give up Bethesda have tried Fallout 76 in recent times, and there is something there to play. It is better than it was at launch, but it's not the game we were looking for. It's not the Bethesda Game Studio title we wanted, and that's why there's so much pressure on Starfield to be the game that we're looking for. But it's been a long time since we've gotten a Bethesda Game Studios true game. It's been a long time since Fallout 4, and it's been even longer since Skyrim. So, in a lot of people's minds, we haven't seen Bethesda's best quality in a long time. And we have seen other game studios give their best. Absolutely. CD Projekt Red, for example, is a big contender. You have Warhorse Studios with Kingdom Come Deliverance, giving us more of a realistic, grounded take on kind of like the Elder Scrolls formula. And we've seen examples of studios that are very similar to Bethesda lose their way almost completely, like BioWare. BioWare is, in a lot of ways, a very parallel studio to Bethesda. Where Bethesda has Fallout, BioWare has Mass Effect. Where Bethesda has Elder Scrolls, BioWare has Dragon Age. And for a lot of fans, they've seen BioWare pretty much completely lose their way. And a lot of us try to explain it away as it's EA's doing, but you can't blame everything on EA. While there were issues in BioWare with things like making Dragon Age 2 more like Mass Effect, and then Dragon Age Inquisition had some missteps like the mounted system, where it was very much backwards and terrible in comparison to much older games. They were pretty accepted by the community, and Mass Effect 3's controversy with its ending, people really didn't like the ending of Mass Effect 3, but these games were still pretty well liked overall, and not considered a stain on BioWare's reputation. That would come later with the release of Mass Effect Andromeda. Their first attempt to take the franchise away from the protagonist, Commander Shepard. And how do you take a franchise that's went through 3 games and been pretty beloved by the Western RPG community and introduce a new protagonist? Well, BioWare probably would have liked to know that answer as well, because they didn't pull it off so well. The writing was okay, I guess. There were a lot of really bad dialogues parts, and the facial animations were probably the most universally mocked experience because it was outsourced to another studio, which, as excuses go, was a pretty bad one, arguing that, no, we're not completely incompetent at our jobs, we're just lazy. As a fan of both Mass Effect and Dragon Age, when Mass Effect Andromeda came out and was completely bombed with bad reviews, I steered clear myself until picking it up on a sale a year later, which is pretty much my standard way to play games anymore. That way I'm not completely disappointed at launch. But after playing through the entire game, I found that I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, despite feeling like none of the alien companions really captured the same emotional attachment as I had to someone like Garrus or Mord and Solus. But it was a good game, and it was fun. And at the end, I'm left wanting more, wishing that the game wasn't so universally hated that its plans for DLC were canceled. I really regretted not being able to play and find the Quarian arc or any other DLC that they could have come up with, because Mass Effect DLC is normally pretty decent. But then, BioWare took it up a notch with the release of Anthem. Now personally, I didn't really find Anthem that appealing. I don't like shooters, I'm not really that into action, I care more about RPGs, and the action comes second. But, a lot of people were excited for Anthem. They wanted that Iron Man simulator, they wanted that Destiny kind of feel to a game. And a lot of the advertisement looked good for it, only to be completely let down repetitively by Anthem. There were people post-release of Anthem desperately clinging on, hoping and defending BioWare at every turn for the steaming pile of crap that they released, only to be completely stabbed in the back when they backtracked on the roadmap and just completely abandoned the game in favor of moving on to a franchise that they actually can sell copies, which leads to Dragon Age 4 and Mass Effect 5. A lot of people have been burned by BioWare, and they're not that eager to see what they do with Dragon Age 4 and Mass Effect 5. In fact, BioWare has a lot to prove, and releasing some garbage games as a service will just be the nail in BioWare's coffin. BioWare has to win its fans back, and you have to do that with quality systems, quality games. You can't do that with appealing to the lowest common denominator. You can't do that with a game that just looks pretty but has no substance. You have to go all out. You have to be perfect, which BioWare has never been perfect. And neither is Bethesda. And that's what I'm getting at with it. Fallout 76, in my opinion, was Bethesda's Mass Effect Andromeda. It's gotten better over time, and it's not as bad as the hate would lead you to believe. But it's a worrying sign for times ahead. That's why there's so much pressure on Starfield. In a lot of ways, I feel like Starfield is Bethesda's chance to make their own RPG, something that they haven't done since they created Elder Scrolls. Because taking on Fallout, while they claim was their dream project to work on, it came with a lot of pressure. It came with a lot of expectations. It came with a fan base that's constantly up their ass about why they just can't do it right, and how they just need to let Obsidian make the game that everybody wants. But Starfield is a clean slate, an opportunity for Bethesda to make the RPG they want, the RPG they see as being what defines their studio. I'm not too concerned about Bethesda not acknowledging the fact that Starfield was supposed to release on 11/11, Hopefully, that means they're more focused on getting the game done. But the longer we go without an official release date, the more concerning it gets. The biggest problem, in my opinion, with how Cyberpunk handled its delays and release is the fact that they delayed the game multiple times and then released it in a fairly broken state for many systems. I think that the average gamer is pretty forgiving and understanding when you delay a game. But if you delay it and delay it and delay it another month like Cyberpunk did, it feels like you're just toying with us, like you're playing a cat and mouse game. You spend months building up hype for this game, releasing all these videos, breaking down all these lore bits, only for them to fall pretty flat on release. The best part is Bethesda knows all about this. That's why Todd personally likes announcing a game and its release date right before it's about to go gold, like he did with Fallout 4. There was only about 6 months, if that, between the announcement and the release. The game was pretty much done. While they did improve on it afterwards and work on DLC, Fallout 4 is a great example of the last time in a long time that we got a game that released fairly solid, more or less, and then got DLC and updates, and we weren't disappointed with what we got. I'm hopeful that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5, whatever they become, do showcase a return to form, a return to classic game systems based on actual player choice. But I am a little concerned with the trend the industry is moving. Is there hope for Bethesda? I hope there is. Hell, maybe there's even still hope for BioWare. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more RPG videos.